Welcome to the live chat, everyone. I'm sure you will all start to funnel in here slowly. The automatic Discord message will be going up in about a minute. I posted just a few minutes ago, well, about 20 minutes ago, on Facebook and Twitter. Yeah, Twitter, because I'm not calling it X. Um, that the live chat was about to start. So here we are. We at least have two people, so I think we've accomplished already. Okay, if I apparently if I don't count my moderator who's also watching, we have one person. So welcome in. So welcome in everyone. I will be a little bit behind because I have to use StreamYard to facilitate Discord Twitch now because it was that or trying to figure out something like OBS, which I wasn't taking the time to do. Normally it works out really well. My moderator team is down today. Um, so instead of three people here to watch you, I have one person here to watch you, and she will be quick on the ban hammer. So you've been warned. So let's not give her a reason to ban people because she's not in a forgiving mood and will not reinstate you if she bans you. And I honestly don't go against my moderators very often. So, guys, welcome in. We have made it. It is December 2024. Oh my God, the year is almost finally over. The the Roaring Twenties have been the painful groan 20s. Have been the screaming 20s. That's actually a fair one. This time around, we're gonna still continue to hope that next year will be better than this year. I don't know why we continue to hope every year now, but we're gonna try anyway. 2025 is just around the corner. We only have half of December to go, and then into the new year, and we hope that things will work out. Since my new year is changing how I am publishing things, I am going to a set every even month release schedule. So February 1st, was that April 1st, June 1st, August 1st, uh, October 1st, December 1st. So for everyone who was always like he always releases them early, get used to a very set schedule. Lux Voice 9 will be the last of Lux Voices, and then it'll be just a 3-book rotation. I'm gonna see how this works for me. I'm gonna drag it through at least through 25, and then we will see how things go from there. Um, that's about it. So let's go ahead and catch you guys up old news. As you can see, we have on the bottom our ticker tape for people who are wondering about things. Um, excuse me. The pre-order for Antecedents Legacy 4 Antecedents Assembly is already up. It will go live December 23rd, but the pre-order is there if you wanted to go ahead and jump on it ahead of time. That is entirely up to you. The audio for that is a Podium audiobook. I don't know for certain when they have it slated into Andy's schedule because that is beyond my control. That is a Podium audiobook. I do know that they have told me that the pre-order for Heavenly Chaos 2 will be soon, but they haven't told me exactly when. I think they gave me the date it was going to be released though, and I think I put that up on Facebook and Discord. Um, but now I'm no longer sure, and I am not opening Discord back up because I don't want to be bombarded with all the messages on Discord while I'm trying to focus on the live chat. Let's see. That's book. That is book. And then after Antecedents Legacy 4 publishes, we're going to start off the rotation with Lux Voice 9 in on February 1st, which will end the Lux Voice saga and then roll us into the 3-book rotation to see how things go. I think that's pretty much catches up to everything. For those people who are wondering about, hang on, conventions, I have because life and things that are going on, I am not going to be making it to JordanCon this year. I'm going to stay away from the heavy allergy-induced suffering that I experienced last year, along with other life issues that made it a reason to stay away. I will be making it to the Lit RPG Con in Denver. I've already booked plane tickets and room for that, and I will of course make it back to Dragon Con. I should make it back for the fan interaction day for the Author Nation / Reader Nation / Rave, whatever they're going to call it this coming year. In next November, in November 25. But those are going to be the places you're going to be able to find me in person. I'm trying to make sure I can like cross all my boxes off. I think that's pretty much everything. I did talk to Andy, and honestly, I should change that. She has slated me in for February for audio for Lux Voice 8, and if we're exceptionally lucky, she will be doing Lux Voice 8 and Lux Voice 9 back to back. So we will be able to slam both of those audiobooks out and finish off the series for people who are waiting on audio too. If things go the way they should and life doesn't get involved, which of course is always up in the air. Yeah, I think that covers recap of things. So now I can look over at your questions. I have to slow troll this time, guys. Since I am down my other two moderators, I have to slow troll through your comments and questions because I don't have somebody to flag them for me. So, bear with us. We're going back basically old school for this live chat. Band engraved on it. I mean, honestly, she'd probably really enjoy a very large hammer with band on it. However, I would prefer not something heavy and painful because she might eventually use it on me. So, hi, Mom. Mom made it in, everyone. She's here early. So yes, somebody was nice enough to pull my status update for me. So there you go. Projected release date of January 28th for Heavenly Chaos 2. Projected. That was the rough estimate that Podium gave me for it. As far as I know, it has not yet hit pre-order status. As soon as they've told me it's up on pre-order, I will let everyone know. But that was their projected date for things. So those are all my books. I got another set of books back from an individual. One of my girlfriend's mothers was moving and needed to downsize, so she gave back all the books that she was given. So I actually have 2 copies of almost every book. I am missing Binding Words, Heavenly Chaos, and Aether's book 1s from the stack on my floor. Other than that, it's a complete set. One of these days, I'll figure out what to do with it. I might bring them to the Lit RPG Con in Denver. If I do have somebody driving things up for me, then I will probably bring those along and see about doing a giveaway with them or something, because those are all signed books on my floor. But at the moment, they sit there and look pretty. Arctic. So we have Lux Voice actually starting, quote unquote, kicking off the new schedule. in February. After that, the 3-book rotation should be Aethers, Heavenly Chaos, Antecedents, and then repeat. However, depending on how things are looking, I might need to flop Heavenly Chaos and Aethers, because I've already written Heavenly Chaos 3, and I haven't started writing the next Aethers yet. So I could flop those two to give myself that little bit of extra space on the writing side of things. I don't know. I'll have to figure it out as I go. At the moment, I would say the schedule stays the same, but depending on how things look going into February, I might have to make a call to flop things around. I really don't want to, because I've already promised release dates to people. Because Heavenly Chaos is a Podium audiobook. So we will see. Big, I'm sorry to hear that. I do hope you can get some sleep. Maybe the soothing sounds of Ogre Voice will lull you into that slumber. And if that works, you might want to seek some help. I'm just saying. I don't think my voice is the voice you want getting you to go off to sleep. I don't think my voice should be the voice that's getting you off to go to sleep or anything else, honestly. But hey, to each their own. My question is, when we move things up, do you pull the planned books behind up as well, or do you, Paul? Since I am going to a set release schedule, there will not be any more moving books up. Antecedents moving from the 1st of January to December 23rd should be the very last time we see anything shift earlier. Because going into next year and beyond, I want a very set, easy for everyone to know when the next book is going to be released. That was one of the things of moving things to a set schedule. Is then people aren't like, hey, when's the next book coming out? It's going to be the 1st of every even month. You will know. It should be easy for you guys to keep track of. There shouldn't be any, well, do you know if he's going to move it up? It should all be right there, easy to get to, no problems. Speaking of Jordan, do you think Lena Hedman? No, honestly, I don't think Jordan fell into that regard. Because he doesn't fall into the narrow definition of what the harem community sees itself as. Jordan had a lot of other elements going on. I mean, he did have what was it, the Green Azacendai, which were basically reverse harems. They were the one Azacendai with the like dozen warders that followed them. I think it was the Green. Fairly certain, not positive. Been a while since I've read the series. So no, I wouldn't say he falls into that category. I was hoping to get to DragonCon next year to see Ogre in the Wild, but the hotels, Archeron, the hotels always sell out. They're always booked. The best you can do is look for something nearby, possibly an Airbnb. And there is a MARTA, basically a tram that runs through like Atlanta, through like the downtown Atlanta area. So you could possibly look for something further out near the MARTA line and still use that to get to and from. That is all up to you. But if you're looking to get into a con hotel, they always sell out. The Ritz had not been a con hotel for the longest time, but they put up con rates this year, and those rooms sold out in the first, I'd say, 10 minutes, if I remember right. So yes, anything con adjacent normally books and sells out right away. And so you're either looking to stay further afield and use some kind of either the MARTA or Ubers to get around, or you have to plan far in advance and then basically hammer the look for the information when things are going to open up and then basically hammer refresh and try to jump in. So it's hard for DragonCon. if you're looking to just go and meet like lit RPG authors and whatnot, the Denver Con is going to be probably far more accessible for that, since it's going to be the first year of a lit RPG cent, excuse me, centric convention. So that would be something to look at if you're just like flying in to see the genre. Go with that. If you're looking to have all the fun that is Dragon Con as well, then you just need to, at this point, it would be basically hammering refresh, checking every week, every 2 weeks, the various hotels to see if something comes up. If you can't find something slightly further away that you're interested in using. What's your biggest goal for 2025? I don't really do like big goals, Mist. Um, just just continuing. I am perfectly happy with what I have in life right now. I have relationships that I love to have to to be connected with. My friends are people that I care about a great deal. You guys keep me going and continue to support me as I continue to give you the stupid stories in my head. Um, Life is not terrible. As bad as things are some days, life isn't bad. I have honestly, I speak from words. I speak from a place of privilege in some regards because I am not struggling from paycheck to paycheck like I was before I became a writer. Um, so at this point I don't really look at like overarching goals. I do have some goals, but they're not going to be 2025. I still want to build my house on my property and move into that. But that's probably going to be a few years away. Getting the IRS to go away because I have issues with them. That is something I'd love to do, but I still have to wait for resolutions there. Um, I am working on a side project, specifically with friend, that I am not giving information about. That might come out in 25. That is something that is being worked on, and once I have more solid information on that, I might share it. But in the meantime, no, I don't have any real big, like, oh my God, this is the goal I want to meet. I don't do that, honestly. I like routine. I like knowing that today is going to be pretty much like yesterday and pretty much like tomorrow. Most people do, honestly. Nothing. Hide. It's going to a 3-book rotation, not a 4-book rotation. So I foolishly reread AL when the pre-order came out. Now I have a week to wait till I can read the next one. Ah, Breg, you forgot that it wasn't quite as deep as the other series, and I understand. I mean, only 3 books out, you probably tore through them fairly quickly. I get it. I get it. Unfortunately, there is no moving up at this point. That pre-order is set. I am not changing it, and at this point, mm, actually, I would have like 2 more days where I could change the date if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. The 23rd is a good date. It's going to be just in time for Christmas if you want it right away, so you can maybe ignore family on Christmas because maybe you get together, maybe your family does a big event where you're with the aunts and uncles like my family used to do when I was a kid. That's a great thing to have then a freaking book that you could sit in the corner and read and ignore everyone. And maybe you don't get it right away. Maybe money's a little tight. You might get an Amazon gift card and then you can buy it come Christmas time. These are all viable options. And honestly, I wanted at least a little more buffer between Lux Voice came out. And since I am starting the schedule next year, I know when Lux Voice is coming out and I needed to work off that. So I think that answers things that people didn't even ask. So there we go. I checked the FAQ and AR is not listed. When is the next in the series AR10? At the moment, the rotation will be I'm sorry, Antecedents, because that's not out yet. Lux Voice, Aethers, Heavenly Chaos, Antecedents, Aethers, Heavenly Chaos, Antecedents. Like I said, though, depending on how my writing goes, I might have to flop Heavenly Chaos 3 and Aethers as little as I want to. depending on how my writing schedule goes and whether or not life fucks me in some way, shape, or form, since I have one book written and I don't have the other one written, I might flop them just to give myself time. I don't want to. But at the moment, it should follow Luck's voice. I only ever do normally two books out at a time because life is life. And since I'm going more to a set schedule, though, it does add, as funnily as it is, it adds a firmer deadline to books, but it does give like a little more room than I had been giving between books too. So it's plus or minuses in that regard. Do do do. Where was I going? Assigned books would be awesome prizes for writers and everything. I did that for a while, Poison, and honestly, it is they weren't as sought after. I had signed books up along with coins a couple years ago, and honestly, people didn't want the signed books; they wanted the coins instead. So I stopped doing them. And then if you look at something like Aethers, if I got the book one of Aethers and I shipped off I think it's 1 through 8 on my floor over there, um, the cost of shipping that just in the US, I could probably get away with maybe one large flat rate box. But if I was gonna like ship an international, oh, that's gonna get expensive. And while I don't mind shipping things like the challenge coins international, the cost of shipping a signed 8 book series international would get pricey. And if you try to break it down by book, people want the next book that they need, in which case that's where problems become. People don't want a signed book 3 if books 1 and 2 aren't also signed. So, Heavenly Chaos 2 paperback is being worked on currently by my compiler. Um, so I don't have a date for that currently. I would say, considering how they normally work, I should have it up by the end of the year. But it's going to be on them. Normally, like I said, we wait until audio is done so I can get as much of a match between Andy's narration, the ebook, and the paperback as I can get. Since she finished that, it has gone to my compiler. But once again, guys, life is life. I should hopefully get it back in like the next week, and then I can put it up, and you guys should have it if things go really well before Christmas, and if not, by the end of the year, I hope. But if they get sick or job issues happen or everything else, everything is up in the air. So that's why I don't like promising firm dates, because those are problems, and that's what I'm doing next year. Is I'm giving firm dates for book releases. And even though it means slightly more time between each book, it also means that I have deadlines to meet. And if for whatever reason, guys, I feel like that's starting to be pressure for me, I'll fucking cut it the fuck out. But we'll see. Do you have a set rotation on the regions of the world you cater to for live chat? This month will be Eastern time this month for overseas. No, I just changed the times as I see fit. Next month I just made an event on it. It's gonna be at 2 p.m. because it's gonna be January 15th. It's a Wednesday, and then I'll go over and I'll look at February is the 15th is gonna be a Saturday. The Saturday I might do a later time just because hey it's Saturday. It might be easier for people in the US to show up at a later time on a Saturday because half people have office hour jobs. And if you have an office hour job, you're probably not watching this at work. And if you are and you're not getting into trouble for it, good for you. But no, I just try to vary up the times so it is easier across the board. Like right now, this is 10 my time, but it's 8 hours. It's like 8 hours later across the pond. So what is that? 6 p.m. So probably a better time for people in Europe to catch this one. Whereas if I did like a 6 p.m. one, that's like 2 a.m. Not great for them. That's why I change the time ups, but I don't specifically go out of my way like, oh, I need to make sure I do an earlier time because I haven't done one for a while. I just try to vary them up and hope it falls out. I'm I'm not a spreadsheet person. That's Dakota. as much as I like to make fun of him for it. I have spreadsheets for character names so I know how to spell them. Thank you very much. That is you. Oh my God, you spelled that name 3 ways. I don't have a spreadsheet. I'll put it on a spreadsheet. Make it easy. You complain that I have spreadsheets, then I'll just stop using spreadsheets. Then we'll see how much you want me to go back to using spreadsheets. Where was I? How many books do you estimate being left in each series? Infinite. I'll know as soon as they tell me. Until then, your guess is as good as mine, sir. Honestly, uh, Aethers has a way to go yet. When, I don't know. But considering what the end goal is and what has to happen before then, it's going to be a bit. There are going to be some time skips in there because some time passes where there's not a major event happening, and that's just going to happen. Um, Heavenly Chaos is set up to be an Aethers-esque arc. There is a lot to cover there, but once again, there will be some time skips. The early on relationship setting information. There is always a shorter period of time in each book earlier in a series as you set pieces up. But once things are set and you understand how things work, then you can be like, oh, and by the way, 3 years happened, no major events. The family was just able to enjoy being around each other. And that's okay. Honestly, between the three of them, Antecedents is probably the one with the least amount of books left in the overall arc that I imagined when I started the series. So, but I enjoyed waiting patiently for the next book in the series, and then you moved it up a few weeks. And I understand MV, I really do. But I want I with a scheduling standpoint and everything else for like audio and everything else going on, I really wanted to try to make it easier for fans, my editors, my narrators to all know when the next book was going to come up. So I decided I would try this idea of making known release dates. We'll see how it works. I can hear my editor typing to my side. And I know that eventually I'll see if she types something in chat here, I'll eventually see it as I scroll down. So I am mostly worried. Are we allowed to talk about the challenge coins for Heavenly Chaos and the spoiler contains? I mean, they have been posted up on social media. So if you want to talk about them, that's fine. What you think or don't think that they represent is entirely up to you. If you are an audio person and you see something about the challenge coins, it's up to you whether or not you want to read that. I try to keep spoiler information down until the audios come out, just for my audio people, my truckers and whatnot. But at this point, like I said, we're looking at supposedly late January for the audio to come out for Heavenly Chaos. One of the downsides to pushing through a production company instead of just going personally with me and Andy is the fact that you get these delays, a longer delay than it would have been if I didn't have a production company in there. So, well. Dude. One thing I will miss is trying to guess the date when we moved up and seeing if I'm right, but I'm glad the new system will. Like I said, it's all a work in progress, Drigus. You never know unless you try something new. So we're gonna see how things fall out. Hopefully it works. Things feel good. Nobody feels rushed or anxious about things, and it'll be a nice system that we can just keep perpetuating. And I would love that. And if not, then we'll throw it away and try something else. All of life is change. No, whether or not you like it or not, life is change. You can either embrace it or try to fight against it. But normally, when something changes, you're stuck with whatever the fuck it was. Especially if you work for other people. There's a question in here somewhere. Hello, DJ and team. Hoping you're all doing well. What gift do you want but can't justify buying for yourself? A new home. I mean, if you're gonna ask, might as well ask big. But honestly, JPEZ, I don't. I'm not a gift person. Um, a lot of gifts are trinkets, knickknacks. I'm not a I'm not a big trinket knickknack person. I never have been. Um, I'm very. I know there's a word for the term minimalist. There's another word for it, and I'm just not austere. I don't do a whole lot of like just little things that sit on shelves and look pretty. I just don't. Um, which has made it hard in relationships and stuff at times. Um, for the people with me because they're like, I wanted to get you something, but you don't like little things. Um, but yeah, so I don't really do gifts. And it's been harder since I have had a mostly stable income with being a writer. That the little things that I did want to buy for myself, I bought, which, as my girlfriends tell me, makes it really hard to get me things. So, oh, I totally understand that, Archron. Like you said, though, the pros and cons: travel time, then lodging, covering food, all of that kind of falls into it. Um, if you're literally looking at like a 6 hour drive and you're only like coming in for like a day for Dragon Con, I mean, if you're coming in for the entirety of Dragon Con, that's a whole kettle of fish. If you're like, hey, I'm gonna make the drive down, I'm gonna stay the night, I'm gonna go and attend things, and then I'll spend the night again, and then I'm ducking out. So you're only gonna be there officially for like one day of Dragon Con. You can look at actually staying, like I said, slightly further away, and then just eating the cost of Ubering or using the MARTA to come in. But if you're staying for the entirety of Dragon Con, it gets a little more expensive to do that. But then again, like I said, then you're looking at rooms and how far away they are, and so it all comes down to pros and cons of everything. CB, it depends on how you look at things. I write a chapter a day. That is my goal every day. Um, I thrive on routine though. So I very rarely ever feel like, oh God, I have to keep doing this. That for whatever reason I just don't want to write today. I almost never have that feeling. Out of 365 days in a year, there might be like 5 days where I'm like, I don't want to write today. Um, More often than not, it's fuck. I wish I didn't have these errands I have to take care of because I'd rather just sit down and write. So I still find my time normally to get my one chapter done a day. I still find the time to get my one chapter done today. It's never really been a, oh my God, this is weighing on me. Um, the shift to the schedule, like I said, is more of a trying to make sure things line up for everyone. Um, hey, this book is coming out, so Andy knows. Oh, hey, in 2 months I'm gonna have another Daniel book. I should look at trying to make sure that's slotted into the schedule. My editors know. Okay, hey, we have 2 months every book, so we need to make sure we get the editing done. The beta readers have to get in there. We have to get the proofing done, which is what we're doing anyway. Because honestly, we've been pushing a book about every 7 weeks from for like the last 5 years. I have published on average 7 books a year. This is going to be 6 books a year. So it should be, like I said, more time per book. It's just I have set at this point then firm dates. So it's not as nebulous of, okay, hey, when we get it done, it'll be fine. It's more of a, oh, hey, by the way, we know this book is coming up. So it's going to depend on how it feels. Do we feel like it feels more rushed? Do we feel more pressure doing that? And if we do, then we'll just stop the set dates and it'll go back to being more like how it was. But I'll probably still keep the same 6 book schedule and just give myself a little extra bump in time without firm dates to set it against. So it's not about me getting rest. I don't feel like I need to take time away from writing normally. The time I take to go to cons. So when I went to Jordan Con and Dragon Con and doing the Vegas thing last year, and this year I'll be doing the Lit RPG Con and Dragon Con, and then maybe the Vegas thing this year. Those are my times away. Outside of, oh hey, by the way, we have a big medical thing we got to get to today. It's going to eat up the day, and that's just the thing. I don't feel like I need extra time away. I know there are some people. It might be that way for like plotters who are trying to really navigate how their story is going to land and fit in the nooks and crevices of their pre-designed construct. But for me, being the after action reporter I am, I never. I don't feel that way. I might have drifted well off topic. I don't know anymore, guys. When I don't have people to help direct me, you're fine. You have your hands full making sure that we don't have idiots and taking names from me. You're perfectly fine. We don't have two extra people here to help, keep me in the bounds of things. So I am going to ramble probably well off of topic time and time again today. You could just mention it. You don't have to resort to violence right away. You already shot me in the dick earlier today. Twice. Only one of them was intentional. Still twice. Oh, just Tress. You mean his Monster Girls in Space book 4? Yeah, I read it. I I like what Tress is doing with that series. His other series is good. It didn't quite grab me the same way. It's good. I would recommend it to people. But honestly, I like what he's doing with the Monster Girls in Space. And you know what? I hope it perpetuates for him. I hope this becomes the thing that really lets him keep rolling. I think he is working on the second book of the other series at the moment, and then he's basically going to rotate the two series. I've talked to him. I've had dinner with him at Dragon Con before. I probably will again. He's a good guy. Um, his girlfriend has done cosplay at Dragon Con. She did Stacia. She did Darkness. She's done a few things from my books. I look forward to what she does out of his books, and hopefully she'll do a few more out of mine too. But I've read his stuff, and I'll keep reading his stuff. You've done well. You've done well. A job you like, and women who actually like you. I'm surprised every day that there are women who like me big. So you know what? I wake up every morning, look over, and realize she's asleep. I should get up and go do things. But wow, she's still here. So, well, it's true. You're asleep when I wake up. I am surprised you stay. I'm surprised that the women in my life stick around. Why? Because I'm an ogre, ladies and gentlemen, and I know that. Just wanted to say how much I am loving Heavenly Chaos. Seriously think it is this place off world is my favorite series. Can't wait for book 3. I appreciate that, Morgan. Thank you. Like I said, I liked getting back to being able to touch on mental health, and there are moments in book 3 that continue to come around. Will those moments lighten as the series go forward? Of course, because you hope to see forward progress for positive mental health steps. Will there be setbacks? It doesn't matter how far progressing you think you are. There's still a chance that something triggers whatever, and you have a breakdown for a day. It happens. Anybody who's dealt with mental health knows this. I am doing my best to stay true to what it is and not just end up waving it off. That is one of my big goals for the series. Argron, I will take and answer this for you. An Empire's Gambit box set will not happen. It would require someone to make it. Someone willing to take the time to make the game a functional reality. There have been people who have put some time and effort into it. It hasn't worked so far. So I can tell you, no. Sorry to break your heart, but sometimes you need to have your heart broken. It gets you to move forward in life. Honestly, the 3-book rotation actually starts in, what is that? February, March, April. April 1st. April 1st should see Aether's 10. That should be the start of the 3-book rotation. Technically. We'll see going forward. Have you thought about possibly having one of your series, such as Alpha World or AR, made into a webtoon? I mean, it would require trusting people to handle my content. And I'm not a trusting individual. It would require a company or something coming to me, a company that I trust, because I'm not just taking random phone calls from people who are like, yeah, I totally represent this company and we would love to be able to have the rights to do this. No, because most of those are scams. And I am not taking my time and effort away from what I love to do, writing, to try to figure out if that person is a true representative and I can trust them or not. If another author I trust came to me and said, "Hey, they did this for me. They talked to me about doing this for you as well. Are you interested?" Then I would have a conversation. Would I like to see it happen? Sure. Who wouldn't like to see their product out in another way, out in another format? But I'm not trusting random people who are like, no, we totally represent this company, and don't worry, we're totally not going to fuck you. Because honestly, 9 times out of 10, guys, it's going to be some kind of scam. Good and bad about being a Patreon member. Good, get to read chapters in advance. Bad, half the book is gone when it comes out. I mean, it's not necessarily true, Mist. You really should start at the beginning and then read through it all. Just in case maybe you've forgotten something from chapter 1, because that, literally was probably like 5 weeks ago. You, just, just, just a thought. And I have changed things before, so I have had I have taken names from my winners, guys, and slotted them into books. So it did replace names from what you read on Patreon with what was in the final book as well. So you'd probably be a little confused at that point if you didn't read through from the start again. So just a thought. You scroll down, do 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 do. No, I don't, PM. They're the softbacks. Honestly, I don't like the way Amazon does their hardbacks that they offer. They look more like D&D core rule book hardbacks than like what I think of as a hardback. So no, I have not. Will there be a hardback offered? If I do, it probably won't be through Amazon. It would probably be something like a Kickstarter. Um, but at the moment, no. Ah, the archivist is here. Everyone be on your best behavior. She's got claws. Doot, 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 doot. I mean, fair enough, Breg. I mean, if it's late for you, might as well have a whiskey and watch it at the same time. I don't see a problem with that. Do, 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 do. I'm scrolling down your guys' comments. It's dead air. So much dead. I loved Aether's Nine. I really find that I really miss Claudia. So I want her to get to wrap Greg in her arms and show just what a fiery personality she has. Fair enough, MB. The the amount of time the women get in Aethers is never going to be equal. It's just the way life works. The fact that when the current posting ends and they split up again, these things are going to happen. So I would say enjoy those that are there while you can. There will come a time when everyone has their moments again. So something about spreadsheets and me screwing up names. Yep, see that. Outside of the two women that he has already shown an interest in, PM, no. I have stated this in other forums before, and I think on live chats. Heavenly Chaos is going to end up being a triad, and it will stay there. Don't expect anybody else outside of the triad that you should expect. That's just the way it's going to be. If you're expecting the for whatever reason other people to join in on that relationship, you're going to be sadly mistaken. I have set friends up next to them. They're going to have friends and colleagues that you'll probably see over the series, but there are not going to be more people in an actual relationship. So she's very accurate. Very accurate. You forgot that you had your plushy princess scream as your picture? Beam, you're famous. Look, you're right there. Yeah, scream yourself in your box. That's fine. With Aethers and Heavenly Chaos each having a long way to go, what happens when the next idea strikes? Do you have thoughts for what the next book series on deck? I mean, Infinite, I still have my Demon Punk series that's sitting there to the side. I might go with that. I have lots of other thoughts. Nothing has clamored quite as loudly as like Heavenly Chaos did in a while. So I am safe on that front currently. And if they happen, what I'll do is what I'm doing with my side project currently. I will slowly write it in the background, and then I'll hold on to it until such time that I have a slot come up. That's what happened with Heavenly Chaos. There was something else that happened with. I think it was Antecedents. Pretty sure it was Antecedents. So I will basically write a book or two or three, and they'll sit to the side until such time that I have a slot open. That's what'll happen. I've enjoyed the world building and character development in Aethers. If it continues, I see AR going well past books 11 and 12. The next book is going to be 10. I would say yes, the series should go well past 12. Yeah, I would have to truncate, cut down, shorten. I don't know. Even my editor right now is like, I would have to seriously cut down on the overall story to like end it at 12. I honestly can't see trying to do so. I can't even think of how far things would have to just like drop off a cliff for me to be like, fuck, why do I have to do this? So no, I think truncate is the right word. Truncate, whatever. I'm not a narrator. I'm not how to say things. Huh? Oh, I'm not a narrator. I don't know how to say things correctly. I'm not an editor. I don't know how to spell things correctly. I sure in the fuck don't know where that comma goes. Commas go everywhere, and then the editors take out the ones that don't belong. That's how it works. Well, I appreciate the offer, Rest. I do have a proofer, so I do appreciate the offer though. Do you think Atropos' mother will come out of the woodwork because of how well she and Ben do in the Mockmore? I mean, Rain, it's a possibility. Um, but until someone tells me that that's what happens, your guess is as good as mine. I will lay here out in public for people who always ask me the questions about what about this, what about that. If it's not in a book, if I have not addressed your specific question previously in the series, it is open to fan interpretation until such time that I put it in a book. And then at that point, it's in a book, you know. Other than that, you guys can make up any wild theory in your head you want. If it's completely off base, like those people who are like, Doc's totally gonna marry Posey. No, and I will flat tell you no. Not gonna happen. I did have somebody, I think it was back in like book 2 or whatnot. It was like Doc's totally grooming Posey because he's gonna get in a relationship with her later, and I'm like, no, sir, no. I don't know what's going on in your head, but no, really, no. And please talk to someone. So, oh, did someone comment Doc Mary's spot? I mean, that's way more likely to happen, honestly, guys. I'm not down there in the comment section. You guys are ahead of me, of course. My editor's like, someone mentioned Doc marrying Spot. That would happen way sooner than Doc marrying Posey. No, she's gonna go get her bread. Um, and no, I will not let him, Artron. I've mentioned this before. If something like the Sean event of offering life bonds to the staff happens again, I will pull that chapter back, take my main character off to a room to have a conversation with him along with some padded weaponry, and then ask him again what happens. Not going to happen. Not allowing it again. I mean, there just have to be lines. Now, your writing and Andy's narration is amazing in the latest audiobook for AR. How are warning about needing a box of tissues? I mean, it really depends, Outlaw. I've heard people say they need tissues for my books in a couple of different contexts, so just saying. Those upsides. What are the upsides for using a production company for audiobooks? It's there's a couple different aspects here. So if I have a production, if there's a company like Podium handling things, they are supposed to handle the back end of the audio, which is the proofing of it, the making sure that it comes out correctly, that there aren't blips or like a lost word, because we get those occasionally, and that's just like an error with uploading and that kind of thing. They're supposed to make sure that doesn't happen. They're also supposed to do promotion for the book itself. Um, because I don't do promotions. I just say, hey guys, it's up on my social media and that's it. I don't pay for ads. I don't do any of the things that most people consider promotional for them for normal books and audiobooks and whatnot. So they're supposed to handle that. They're supposed to, send out their big letter, hey, the books we have coming out for Podium this month, and whatever else they're supposed to do. I don't even know because I've never checked on it. I don't even know if they do that. I probably should check on that someday. Um, but those are the things that they're supposed to take care of, so I don't have to. Um, that is the plus side, is they take care of like back end stuff, and they're supposed to do promotional. Those are the reasons. But I really should check someday on whether or not that kind of thing happens. I'm assuming it's this one. Yeah, that looked like something I should ignore. Oh, I have a cat now. Not my chair. I'm watching you. I have a camera on you, Beams. You start trying to scratch my chair. In his previous incarnation, yes, he had 100 plus wives, guys. That was over his entire lifespan, though, okay? Greg will not have 100 wives. I know how many wives Greg is going to have. I've had this conversation with him already. So I know what the number is. I know who they are. We are not going to have that many. Sean should end up the reigning king of number of wives by the end of a series. And I am going to do my damnedest to make sure it stays that way. I don't have to spray you. You stop scratching my chair. Oh. I'll have to pull this one up so I can read it all. Reading what you said about AR still has a ways to go, and time skips will happen with Angle being decades or centuries away. Will we see details from more POVs? No. I will tell you right now, no. Normally, the POVs you get are before the character, before Greg gets to a scene, when Greg is leaving a scene. I am not going to do the, hey, here's a chapter in Daciana's point of view. Hey, here's a chapter in Bishop's point of view. I'm not doing that. That is great web novel stuff. I'm not doing that. The story is Greg. When if I want to tell you what happened somewhere, it's when Greg either gets a letter from someone or he catches up with an individual and they're sitting down and having a conversation so we can get a, oh, by the way, you missed the fact that I went to war with 3 clan leaders and kicked all their asses. But I'm not giving you a POV chapter in that point of view. If I do give you a POV chapter specifically in someone else's view, it is probably going to be, how to say this, a wife with who is basically with a who is going to end it with, and I need to make sure that Darkness tells Greg that this happened. But honestly, I have been doing my best in that regard. I have stretched that a little bit starting with Heavenly Chaos. For those people who've read through Heavenly Chaos too, you've seen the bits where I cut away specifically to Atropos's point of view, Sadie's point of view. Not so much the Watchers. The Watchers are I did have that one scene, but that was directly related to what had just happened. So it was a scene out of that. It wasn't like the Watch Commander having a meeting with his Watchers. So I have started to stretch that a little bit. But I am going to do my best to not end up in web novel territory where you have a 3-chapter span that is all from somebody else's point of view. Honestly, there's very few times where I enjoy that myself, so I am probably not going to write that. Sorry, I can't stay in at the podiatrist check on how my Brenfit is healing. Podiatrist is a foot doctor, but I'm not sure what a Brian is. I mean, it's almost the brain. I will say, I understand, Mr. M. I hope it's healing good, but I'm also now very curious of what that is. I like you, I'm interested, but I don't want to Google it. If you come back before I'm done and you have seen this somehow, I'm curious, but I'm not Googling it. Got to be careful with that whole Google thing sometimes. People will trick you. No, I'm not looking up what is that, blueberry waffles? Or it's just blue waffle? Yeah, no. Had a coworker try it out on me once. And I'm like, dude, no. I know who you are as a person. Nah, that's a trick, and I know it's going to be a trick, and I'm not going to find out. So he Googled it, and then left it on the computer as he's like, okay, I'm off shift. You're up, because he couldn't convince me to do it myself. He had to force it into my retinas. Needless to say, the conversation that happened the next day was not a fun conversation for him. Probably. Let's see. I'm not feeling the gift thing either this year. I'm not really sure I want to visit family. If I had a dinner, I'd take a real trip vacation this time of year. I mean, fair enough, Big. Um, this is the Christmas, Yule, uh, whatever holiday it is for you specifically, people. My family gets together 2 times. We get together on what is basically Christmas Eve. My dad makes homemade pizza. We hang out for a little bit. We talk about things. We might exchange some gifts then. We get together on Christmas Day. We give gifts to the kids. So in this case, my nieces and nephews, because I don't have kids and I'm never going to have kids, and I made sure of that. Um, and we have lasagna. Family tradition goes back to before when I was a kid. Okay. I myself am not a Christmas person. I celebrate Yule. So in the next week, my family will be getting their obligatory gift cards from me, because I find that instead of giving somebody a gift that they're not enthused about, and other people might call it um, impersonal, um, it gives them the chance to get themselves something that they would rather have, instead of me stumbling around and going, "Oh, I didn't know you already had that. I'm really sorry," or "Oh, I thought you were interested in that. My bad." So, well, some people have been like, "Well, I think that's impersonal. You should get them a gift that they like." I'd rather give them the ability to get a gift they'd rather have themselves. So they will get their gift cards from me. And my family has come to understand that I'm not much of a trinket person. Some people in my family are, let's say, older and don't understand that so well. And they will probably try to get me some kind of knickknack. And that's fine. I have a few of them that I keep, because they are my parents. I'll call them out. It's my mom and dad, and they mean well. So I keep those because they're my parents, and they did their best. But honestly, it's like I said earlier in the stream, it's just hard to get me gifts. Uh, do you ever finish a chapter for the day, but the stories keep pushing you to write more? Yeah, I write 2 chapters on and off. Dragon Flames. There are days that I finish the chapter and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna get some lunch. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna come back and write another chapter. It happens. I would say probably 30% of the year I do that kind of thing. Um, if there's a side project, like when I was doing Heavenly Chaos in the background, it was I finished my chapter of whatever story I'm writing today, and now I'm gonna go write a chapter of Heavenly Chaos because I really want to. And those things happen. That's why I'm a book ahead in Heavenly Chaos. Would you be willing to describe when you first decided to write a book, followed by when you actually decided to publish a book? Which book or series became the point you could go full-time writer? When did you decide to become a full-time writer? That is a lot of questions, McKnight, but it's okay. So I first decided to write a book shortly after my friend gave me, I think it was one of the Russian author's books. I want to say it was Play to Live. I want to say it was Play to Live. I read like the first 2 books. I'm like, it's good. And then I forget what else I read. I read a couple other books in the genre, and I'm like, they're good, but they're all solo protagonist books. And honestly, that's what got me thinking along the lines of Last Horizon, which was my first book that I wrote. Okay, you know what I'm gonna write? I'm gonna write a book about a group of really old friends versus full immersion VR is a thing now. With this group of old WoW buddies get together and in their 70s and 80s and try out this new gaming system, because most of them are going to be retired at that point. Yeah, they probably would. I still keep in touch with probably about half-ish of my old WoW buddies. So what would that story look like? And that's Last Horizons. Um, and then I wrote the first book and I started on the second one while my girlfriend was trying to edit it because she never edited before. I don't know how to edit, and it sat there for a year of being tinkered with, literally a year. So October, I think it's October 3rd 2016 is when it was published. It was done a year ahead of time. It was done in October of 2015. That's when I finished it, handed it to her, and been like, okay, we need to like try to edit this because we didn't have money to pay for editors then, guys. So we did our best, and eventually she's like, I don't think I can do anything else with this. So I published it. It was Alpha World 4 playing for keeps. After that book came out, and what Amazon said, hey, this is what you're going to make in 2 months when we actually pay you for what you did this month. That I looked at it and said, I think I could make a living just out of being a writer. And I talked to my girlfriend, and she said, I want to support you, but what if it doesn't work? We should have like a 6-month nest egg to be able to meet bills just in case. And I went, fair. But that was the point where I'm like, okay, I'm moving towards trying to become a full-time writer. And once I had that nest egg in place, I pulled the trigger, and now we're here. That's probably the most concise answer I've given today. Yeah. Has the pool noodle of shame been permanently replaced by the Nerf gun of doom? My girlfriend, excuse me, water. My girlfriend instantly answered yes. It seemed very happy and gleeful when she said yes. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, considering she shot me in the dick twice today with that damn thing. Damn it. Welcome in, Wolf. I'm glad you've made it away, sir. Where's the Nerf machine to keep you on track? Greg, I don't have a problem keeping on track, honestly. Neither has a problem keeping on track. I volunteered to join the DJ support group for Twitch if the opportunity is there. I can provide a mod resume. Artron, I thank you for that. At the moment, I am not looking to have more moderators on Twitch. Normally, like I said, I have 2 or 3 moderators here. Everything runs fine. Life is life, especially with the holidays going around and whatnot. It is. And then it comes down to, and no offense, so if I offend you, I apologize ahead of time. I give moderator powers to the people I've met in person, that I've met in person repeatedly, that I trust not to go crazy on me. They're not suddenly gonna ban everyone, delete my Twitch account, channel, and everything else. Because honestly, depending on how much power the moderator has, that's a thing that can happen. It's like being one of my officers on Discord. All those people have the ability to ban people, and if things go wrong, that can go wrong in a hurry. So, like I said, no offense to you as a person, but I am not a trust. I'm not. I'm not a trusting individual, and there are points where I think that trust needs to be there first. Do we not have the ability to make emotes? Is it because I'm not a Twitch partner? Well, I'm never going to be a Twitch partner, so we're not going to have that ability. I mean, if you want to make one for Discord, we have custom emotes on Discord already. It's gonna be a Nerf gun. Another one shot in the dick. If I was to answer the gift question, as I own the Kindle and audiobooks on the gift for me would be signed copies of the books of the series. The cost would be a little concern. I mean, that when you get into physical copies of books, the cost is always going to be a concern. So you guys, if you look at the cost of the book on Amazon, I think it's set at $24.99, and it's set that way across the board, no matter what book it is. So from Binding Words 1, which is my thinnest book, all the way up to I think Aether's 4, or 5, which is my thickest book currently. I think it might be Apocalypse Gates 8, somewhere in there. So is my thickest. So Apocalypse Gate 8, which is my thickest. Let's just take it off the cuff. The cost of them is the same. What I get back from them, of course, is different because I get a percentage. It costs less to print Binding Words 1 than it does Apocalypse Gates 8 because of the number of pages. So for like Binding Words 1, the cost of it being, I get, I think, like $5 per actually off that 25, where I get like $3 off of Apocalypse Gates 8 because of the size. Because Amazon being Amazon, they take the majority of the money. Why? Because they can. Actually, the reason why is because I set them up to be wide. So you can go into a Barnes and Noble and be like, hey, I heard there's this book and I would like to order a copy. They can actually order one in. That's why. If I set it to be just Amazon exclusive, then what I would make would be more, and then I would lower the cost of the book. But I wanted to give people the chance to go through other venues if they wanted to for physical copies. That, and if one day, for whatever reason, I take off in mainstream media, it would be easier for people to then get copies and not just pay Amazon. I think that answers things. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. One person's mean and another person's small joke. And then she's mean to me. But it's off camera, so nobody knows that. Me. I celebrated my 20th wedding anniversary in October. I wonder why the wife has stayed with me this long. We are lucky men. Ghosteden, you are absolutely correct. Behind every man is a wife or girlfriend who supports him normally, and a man who is amazed that they're still there. I think M. Tress is dropping a new series on the 18th of this month. If he has, I had not heard that. I will have to talk to him. Did you submit as a guest panelist for the Lit RPG Con? Yeah, as soon as they put it up, I did, Wolf. I have talked to the individuals who are running that, and as soon as they said, yeah, we're going to put this up, I went and applied. So as far as I know, yes. They're still working through things. I hope they iron that out because I know like people need time to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to make it to that con. They did set the days and the location, so people could do that. I know the rest of the information is still in the air, but for the people who wanted to make it to the RPG Con, the dates and location have been set as far as I'm aware. But they haven't promoted it a whole lot of places yet. Ah. Do, 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 do. Just reading through your guys' comments real quick, so I come down to something else. I am catching up though, because I do see the bar on that side of the screens. What? You can go get coffee. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're only going to be gone for like 2 minutes. If something happens in 2 minutes, we shall have to just live with what happened. Go get your coffee. It's fine. You can't drink it until it's cold anyway. Go. It'll be fine. If something happens in 2 minutes, I will take full responsibility for that. And if anybody does anything that I have to take responsibility for, I will ban you from everything. You've been warned. How did Benedict and Atropos come to you? The idea of wanting to get back to mental health was something that I thought about, and when I did that, the Benedict in his trauma basically was the one who piped up and said, "Hey, I have a story for you. This was my life, and this is where I'm going to end up. Would you be interested in writing me?" And I went, "Cool, I can do that." And he said, "Okay, well, you should know a couple of things. This is going to be someone who's going to be in my life, and this was her life." And I went, "Okay, cool. Yeah, let's get started on this." So it's for me, it's always it's never a I thought deeply about this kind of thing. It's always somebody stuck up their hand and went, "Ooh, hang on, if I can just a moment of your time." So, and then the story took off from there. Do 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 do. I see Yuki and Jen spending more time with Claudia in the next book. I would call you incorrect for book 10's Dragon. Eventually, meh. Book 10, probably not. We'll see though. I don't know until they tell me. So someone tries to sneak into the triad, sees the look on DJ's face, walks away whistling innocently. I mean, Bragg, I wouldn't be surprised. But honestly, I think those three are going to be very devoted to each other. So I don't doubt that somebody might be like, oh well, maybe I can, and then just being shut out by the group as a whole. I don't think I'm gonna have to glare at them. I think the people involved in the relationship would be like, no. I appreciate that, Struggles. Daniel, possible spoiler. I'm pretty sure you meant AR9 audio. Can I say I love the reference to Andrea's bloopers? And how much did you smile when writing that part? It came naturally, honestly. Yes, there was a little bit of, hey, this is a thing that I could drop in, but it flowed naturally enough that it wasn't a problem. And there I see that the correction of which Aethers did happen. When you started with Aether's Revival, did you think it would be this many books for it? Yeah, Mint. It was always going to be a saga, right? It was always going to be something big and encompassing. Um, so yeah, I always thought it would expand past 10 books. Whether or not it was going to ever get that chance was entirely up to you guys, the fans, supporting it, and you have. So luckily, I've been able to keep going. My friend Tia asked if you had gotten new cover art for the Alpha World series. She thought it looked different than she remembers. Um, no, no, I don't think I've changed any covers for Alpha World. I've changed a couple of covers in Apocalypse Gates and Binding Words. The only one I think that has altered at all, um, like the original Alpha World one cover, I flopped for Podium's uh, cover when they decided to do the audiobook because I thought their cover looked better. Um, but that was 7 years ago. Um, and I think the cover for Alpha World 2 underwent a change. But once again, that was like 7 years ago, 6.5 years ago. I haven't really changed anything else since then. Not that I can think of. The audiobook covers are different than the ebook covers across the board. But how many books do you foresee for AL? Your guess is as good as mine. Paul, we very well will see an AR-15. As funny as that sounds, when you consider what else an AR-15 is, yeah, we will probably get there. Honestly, no, I am not skipping numbers. I'll just have to make sure it's a banger of a book. No, Dragon, I have no intention to. I have no intention to. Aethers is currently my best-selling series, so I have no intention to shorten it up in any way, shape, or form. I have had to cut series short because they could not meet basically cost in the first month. But Aethers is not going to have that problem. So I have no reason to think that that's ever going to be a thing for that series. How often do characters nearly meet an untimely end that will almost collapse the series? Not often, Big. I can't think of any time where I've been like, oh, hey, I killed somebody and I probably shouldn't have done that. You guys have told me to add another chapter to the end of a book or two because the cliffhanger was too bad, but I've never almost had a series collapse because I killed someone. I haven't had that problem. So has it been hard to kill characters? Yeah, but I can't think of any time where I've been like, oh, this is sad. But, I shouldn't kill this character here. If they die, they die. There's going to be a reason for it. I'm not going to kill characters willy nilly, but I'm probably not going to step in and save someone unless for whatever reason I think, oh, this is terrible. People die. That's life. Uh, have fan theories ever been good close enough that you've snuck them in? No, Breg. The stories are the stories that my characters tell me. What you guys postulate on your own has no bearing on the story that they tell me. Doing something like adding a tongue-in-cheek reference to a Gregory Rafik romance because Andy mentioned it, yeah, that's fine because it's tongue-in-cheek. It's not serious, and it came up naturally enough in the story that I was okay with it. Have I had the talk with Xander about relationships? Yeah, but setting out, I knew who and who wasn't going to be in his story. He is he is roughly Kirk slash Riker for his series. He is interested in many types of women. He is a man whore. However, as you saw in book 2 when he met Wispinette, he was very much like, man, there are just some aliens I'm not going to be interested in. So he's not quite Kirk Riker, who would jump everything that was willing. More so Riker. Um, but there was a an early meeting of you're not going to have every race in the universe. So as the story progresses, if something happens, I'll have a talk with you again. But the premise of who and when was something I kind of had an idea of at the very start. Because that's the way it was supposed to be, Big. This is why some people need to seek help. It would be interesting to see you go through the process of talking to your characters as you're at a chapter. Um, it's basically me rolling my face back and forth across the keyboard and letting the words spill out of my ears onto the keyboard. So it's not really an out loud conversation. So you wouldn't get a whole lot of ammunition there. No, not all lines are meant to be stepped on and crossed over. I I disagree. Sometimes you draw a firm line in the sand, and if someone steps over it, you shoot them in the head. period. Sometimes a line is not meant to be crossed, and if you cross it, you take the responsibilities for what happens for crossing that line. So when I first started Heavenly Chaos, I had to get tissues. I prepared in advance for the second book. Fair enough, Mint. And at least with Heavenly Chaos, we know why you need tissues. It's sad. It's emotional. Since everything is fade to black in that series, that's all you're ever going to need those tissues for. Random question audiobooks. I have picked up some full cast novelizations, voice actor plus narrator. Any thoughts of doing something like that for your books? No. If as long as Andy's willing to narrate my books, I have no need to. If for whatever reason Andy goes, I'm really sorry, I can't, then I'm going to find a production company and be like, here, handle this. Because if I can't have Andy, I will find someone else to do the work for me. But because I know I have an audio subsect, basically my truckers and other people who need the audio. But it's going to lose a little bit of the luster for me personally if I can't have the person I view as the best narrator in market, Andy, do the book for me. Does that hang on? I'm going to hide this for a second. Does that mean I will never use anyone other than Andy and or ever do like a dual narration setup? No, it does not mean that. But I don't plan on using anyone other than Andy involved. If there ever was a dual narration or something else, I would want Andy to play a part in it. And like I said, the only reason I would go away from that is if for whatever reason her schedule was so booked that she literally said, I'm really sorry, I can't. So, have you ever had a group of beta readers tell you that a book you showed them doesn't fit all with the other books you've written? Sometimes a book can feel like a ghostwriter did it instead of the real author. No, my beta readers have never said that to me. I mean, honestly, I don't think any of my books have ever felt that way. If you've read one of my books and it felt that way to you, please DM me and we can have a conversation because I would be really curious why you thought it felt that way. Then again, I do have people tell me I do have reviews tell me, I should say, because people have never come to me personally, tell me that they thought that a book was fluff because it never advanced the overall plot of the story. And as the writer of said story, I have to wonder what they think the plot is versus what I think the plot is. Because as the author, I think I'm the one who knows better. It didn't meet their expectations. That's fine. But to literally tell the author, well, you didn't do X, therefore it didn't advance the plot. That just means your expectations of the plot are different than mine. And I'm sorry you felt that way. But honestly, the sheer chutzpah it takes to tell a creative, you didn't do X because the goal is Y. Just wow. Those are some balls, honestly. To me, that's just wow. I have to ask, Lit RPG, in which context do you think anybody's ever going to do this? Honestly. There are very few people who would ever be like, yeah, cool, let's talk base numbers out fact. People don't talk about how much they make out of their jobs. Just like most people don't bring up religion and politics in general conversation. It doesn't happen. There are very few people I would have that conversation with, and there are other authors in a private setting where we can talk about things. But no, that's not something I would think that most people would ever do. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you know six other authors who will gladly talk to you about those things. But no, honestly, I don't see it happening. Skip, skip, skip. There's a lot of other things in there that aren't really questions or everything. Is there a temptation to use time skips when the situation might not call for it? No. If a situation doesn't call for a time skip, why would I time skip? I'm confused. Once again, that could come down to what you think is important versus what I think is important. But no. Do. Check, check, check. Limited third person is best, sticking with one character. I really hate it when it jumps around all over the place. I'm not really sure you can call that limited third person, honestly. That is still, like, I write in base, it's still omniscient third person because you know what's going on inside people's heads. If it's not omniscient third person, then it's a limited third person. You're removing the concept of being able to understand what's going on inside somebody. Jumping POVs is a whole different thing to me. Now that could just come down to how you see something versus how I see something. I don't pay attention to how things are labeled a lot of the times, but honestly, I dislike jumping POVs. The one thing I absolutely hate jumping POVs is jumping into the POV of the villain. I only want to see the villain when he is being confronted. I don't want to know what his plans are until they happen. I want to be just as surprised as the hero. There are some well-known trad authors who will devote half a book to a villain's point of view. And in some cases, yes, it makes sense to do so. I hate it. There's a lot of laughter coming from my editor. I'm catching up to you guys. Will you ever have one of your MCs marry a dragonkin lady? We'd be very interested to see what that dynamic is, especially if you flip it and she's shy instead of domineering. I mean, is it possible? Yes. Is it something like I'm aiming for? No. That's like when I've had people ask me, "Oh, are you ever going to have X kind of person in the relationship?" No. It whatever happens, my characters will tell me. It's not one of the things I aim for. Beware of Chicken being the reigning champ of good alternating views. I mean, I read Beware of Chicken. I enjoy it. But there are still some times where I get annoyed with the cutaway. I am reading currently, I think Beware of Chicken 4 currently. There is a chapter in Beware of Chicken 4 where it's between the city lord or whatever his title is and a merchant group that comes to see him. And it's an okay chapter. But I'm like, yes, it's okay. I like seeing it. It works. But I personally probably wouldn't include it. And that is once again an author thing. Does it work? Yes. Do I think it's necessary? Not as much. It gives it's a web novel. It gives a little more flesh to the world overall. This is where web novel versus um, any other novel kind of conflict. With a web novel, you want more POVs because it helps flesh out the world overall. Whereas with a traditional novel, you wouldn't. You want to stay more compact and focused in, which is fine. There are some web novels that make it work, and there are other web novels that start to get too convoluted. There are too many points of view, too many characters with their fingers in the pie. So, eh, excuse me. What is that you love the most about writing? Sharing the weird stories in my head. I mean, I've always had them, just never really had an outlet for them. Now I do. honestly, if I'm going to be absolutely honest with this, what I love most about writing, working for myself. At the moment, working for myself is amazing. The only asshole I have to be accountable to is me, instead of somebody who I wonder how the fuck they got the job and wonder why I have to listen to them. At this point, honestly, that's one of the big things. I do enjoy sharing the stories in my head, but not having to listen to somebody else tell me to do something idiotic because they said so, kind of high on my list. My, my girlfriend already answered that. No, we're gonna skip that. Gonna skip that. I my girlfriends did get me the what is it, 3 square feet of land. So I am technically a lord in Scotland on a technicality. I am the ogre lord for a reason. But yes, they got me something, and it's one of those things where I was like, you know what, that's cool. I that gift I really enjoyed. It's not something that's on a shelf anywhere. It doesn't take up space and I'm not gonna wonder why I never dust it. And it's something that I can look at and be like, yeah, I'm still a lord. And as if you can see on the shelf back there, my camera's not great. There is a Funko of me because she did get me a Funko of me recently. She's gonna bring it closer. There is there is a Funko of the Ogre Lord. And it came with a little black cat that sits at its feet as well, because both the cats in this house are little black cats. Well, one's a little black cat, the other one's not quite as little black cat. Do do do. No, McKnight, that's totally fine. You remembered, and I'm glad you remembered. Um, I feel like I broke them down really quickly, so I do feel a little bad that I answered through them really fast for you when if there's some things that you had been waiting on as long as you have. But what's the funniest encounter you've had at a convention with a fan? Um, I don't know honestly. That's hard for me to quantify. What one person considers funny versus another is a very opinionated thing. Um, I can say having people show up cosplaying as a character out of one of my books, because there have been a few people that have done this. Um, those are always very words. Those are always very endearing. The fact that somebody took the time to put together an outfit to represent one of my characters is something that always makes me go, "Wow." But I don't really have a funniest story, honestly. Love the Alpha World series. Just recently re-listened to them on Audible with my girlfriend. She's loving them as well. Um, Peter Burkrot did that narration, because that series, of course, started before I think Andy was actually off the ground and rolling. It was uh, before I even knew Andy. That was my first work with Podium. Um, he did a really good job with them. So I'm glad that you and your hang on girlfriend, I had to relook at it and I took it down already, have enjoyed them. Will you ever have Alpha World re-recorded with dual narration, or when Andy can get them into her rotation? I mean, if you have to dream, you might as well dream. Um, I don't know if Andy will ever have the time to re-record anything. If I was going to have her do it, I would literally try to get Last Horizon slightly more edited because it needs it. And then see about having her do those, because I finally got those rights back from Tantor. So if you own those books, congratulations, guys, because they're down off of Audible now. I would see about having her re-record those first. I would need to get the rights back for Alpha World from Podium before I could have Andy re-record them. And there is a 7-year contract with a renewing 1-year ongoing clause. So I could not get all my rights for Alpha World back until 7 years after book 8 was put up by them, which is still like what, 5 years away. So if I was going to do that, I would wait until they were all up in that time period and then ask for all my rights back. So they would all come down as one unit instead of piecemealing them in, because that would get really odd. Oh. Skip. Since the next AL book will be out next week, will there not be a preview chapter next Monday? No, honestly, and I posted on Patreon that when I was going to publish that when I have to pull those chapters down. So the last preview chapter should be up on the 19th, and then I will actually have to pull that down probably on Sunday, the 20th, 22nd. So somewhere around the 21st, 22nd, I will actually have to go in and pull the preview chapters down. So I'm in accordance with Amazon's guides and regulations. And then there will be no more preview chapters until January 2nd. I am basically taking time to not worry about putting up preview chapters until the beginning of next year. So if you are on Patreon right now, expect your last preview chapter through the end of the year to be on the 19th. So if you wanted to cancel your subscription now so you don't automatically renew in January, that is completely up to you. But the last, what is that, 1, 2, 3 times I would have chapters up at the end of the year, there will be no content. I've posted it in Patreon so people would know ahead of time. So people are not surprised by this. I have warned people. I try to warn people about things like this. This is the first time that I will miss an actual posting date intentionally since I made my Patreon back in, I think it was 2017. For people who are on Patreon, they got the warning. I believe it's a public post. So anybody who goes over there should be able to look at it and be like, okay, we know what's going on. And then January, you will see preview chapters for Lux Voice in January. And then, of course, I will have to pull down before I publish Lux Voice. So it'll be a short preview of Lux Voice. And then we will continue as we have before. So, and then everyone will have an idea of when things are going to happen. If for whatever reason my publication date falls on the same day as a Patreon post day, I don't know what I will do yet. I will figure that out as I go on. There are things in motion. We will figure it out. You will be there with me so we can all suffer together. Assuming you don't know, but does Amazon tell you where the orders are coming from? Amazon gives us very little information, Paul. I get a rough breakdown of, hey, you had somebody buy your book in America, but not like, hey, this person in California bought your book today. So, let me see. I got my hotel for the Lit RPG Con. I will see you then, No Wolf. I know I have fans who live in the Denver area who've already told me they're going to be there. So, oh, I see the point where we talked about the 2 minutes of chaos that could happen. Did Path of Ascension influence Heavenly Chaos? Yeah, there is some influence from that. There is also influence from other series too. For the people who have left me some very negative reviews saying that I've specifically ripped off Path of Ascension, I would say, have you looked at the two series and see the major differences between them? Because if you can't, wow. I have tried to read other books that have main character with trauma. They never seem to write it correctly, and it spoils the book series. Greg, that's going to happen. Honestly, one of the things there's the old writing advice. If you give your character trauma, that's something they can heal from, and that's something easy for the fans to latch onto and root for. And that is why you see that kind of thing. Um, it's also why you don't see it like fully being realized, and it's more of a brief comment than than an ongoing trauma. Um, so I understand. Mint, I can't tell you. I've never taken a poll. And normally I only talk to my characters when it's time to write a chapter. Unless somebody is jumping up and down, waving their arms and saying, "Hey, I really got to tell you a story." The only time I talk to them is when I'm writing a chapter. Or when I'm trying to go to sleep and somebody just won't shut the fuck up. Any interest in ever doing a holiday short story revisiting some of your series? Not really, Brian. I'm not a big holiday person though. I mean, like no holiday really is something that I'm really invested in. And that's because most holidays are commercial gimmicks nowadays. A lot of holidays are not what about what they were or what they were before what they are. And that's a whole kettle of fish I can get into, and it would not go well for anyone. So I'm just going to leave that there. But no, I have no intention to write holiday-esque short stories. It's not who I am. Um, there are some things here I just can't. I don't know, Nasser. We'll find out when we get there together. I'm sorry, guys. After Action Reporter, not a plotter. I can't tell you. That is true. Aether's one cover did change. I did bring it more in line with the rest of the series. Beaker with the glasses. And by the way, Rain, my editor says that your profile picture she enjoys. My bookshelf, hang on. My bookshelf is my books. The bookshelf next to that is my girlfriend's. So if you're wondering what's on my bookshelf to be explored, it is literally filled with my books. There's nothing else on there. The girly knickknacks all back there are my girlfriend's. And in fact, most of the stuff on my shelf, on top of my most of the things on my shelf on top of my bookshelf there are yours. Okay, so the sign is mine, the die is mine, and then you got me my Funko. Everything else up there. Oh, is that my Black Knight? Okay, so the Black Knight is also mine. I got for you. I got for you because you love them in Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, be careful because they never got put together. My girlfriend loves Scratch and the Owl Bear in Baldur's Gate 3, and there is somebody who 3D prints them. They came in pieces, and you had to put them together, which I did not know when I bought them. Maybe I just didn't read the thing all the way, but she loves them. So I bought her a 3D printed copy of them because they're her favorite best boys. It doesn't matter if she is playing the most evil, horrific character in that playthrough. She's always very nice to those two. Jen, the answer to that is no. Today is probably a day I'm not writing a chapter, or if I do, it's going to be later today. See, I normally get up, I have breakfast, I come in here, I catch up online, and then I start trying to write my chapter, which would have taken place right when this live chat started. So no, did not happen. I will hopefully get to it later today, and if I don't, then it's one of the days that just misses. These things happen. Let's see. Skippy, 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 Skippy. Have you ever changed the MC in the start of a book? No. The only time I had to go back and do that at all was when Alvin tried to be a paladin and I had to rewrite a freaking book one. I didn't change the MC. I made the main character behave the way he was supposed to. No, I made him act the way he was supposed to. Plot armor, I mean, all of them. If the main character dies, the book is over. The series is over. So they'll have some plot armor in that regard. But that's the only armor they have. Since I'm an after action reporter and I don't plot things, that's the only armor they have, is the fact that if I kill them, the series is over. Unless they have something that can bring them back from the dead. Hi, Doc. So I don't go out of my way to be like, oh, I can't let this happen to them. No, bad things can happen to them. They'll have to overcome them. Can you recommend someone to help me? I've been told I'm a lost cause. Arctic, that's because you are. Outside of a fishmonger who will listen to you, I'm not sure. And you would have to know who Arctic is and seen them on Andy's server to get that reference. And will Badger ever come close to Sean levels of love interest? No, should not. We'll see. Just because I have to. I never realized that Kirk Riker were out there playing intergalactic Pokemon until you put it that way. They might have caught more than Pokemon. There is a reason why Kirk's best friend was McCoy. I'm fairly certain. Just saying he might have needed to confide in his doctor a lot. Mint, hang on. I'll put your question up here, Mint. This mug I got from Amazon. I've lived on well water, high mineral content well water, and that sticks to glass and builds up and builds up. Has not had that problem with the ceramic, the glazed ceramic. One of the reasons why I enjoy this mug so much. But it's an Amazon mug. If you go and look around on Amazon, you should still be able to find it, unless whoever was making them stopped, which is entirely possible. Yes, yeah, that is correct. As soon as Lux Voice 9 comes out, then the 3-book rotation starts. I know you got in here late, so. How much time do you spend on the backstory of the worlds you create or the history of them? I know it when my characters tell me what it is, mostly. There are some things when I start the story, they're just in my head. I know them. But I don't I'm not a plotter. I don't sit down and do that kind of thing. So, did you enjoy Authors Nation? Do you think you'll do it again? I will not attend the convention as a whole. I just it's not who I am. If they do another fan table meet and greet kind of thing, and whatnot, yes, I will probably attend the Reader Nation or Rave or whatever they end up calling it. Do 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 do. Woke up early, able to catch the chat. Do you write Fade to Black? Do you rather write Fade to Black or explicit? Um, it's not a matter of what I'd rather write. It's just what works for the series. Honestly, between the two of them, I am perfectly fine writing explicit because those are character moments. I have no problem writing those. Um, but it doesn't always work, especially if you're trying to reach a slightly wider audience that would not understand the reason for having explicit content. Heavenly Chaos is not going to have explicit content because I wanted that series and mental health angle to reach a wider audience. But between the two of them, I have no problem writing explicit. It's just part of the human condition to have sex with people you find attractive, especially if you're in a relationship with them. And coming away from those is perfectly fine too. Sometimes that content just doesn't fit the style of book. Uh, but I have no problem writing that content, but it's not really a would you rather write. It's just doesn't work for the series that you're trying, the angle of the series you're trying to produce, I guess. How different is it to write a story where the MC is an asshole and Apocalypse Gate versus a genuinely nice guy like in Heavenly Chaos? I don't know. I just report what the characters tell me. It's not really a how much harder is it to write. All my books take about the same effort to write. Um, so I can't say. The the characters I talk to aren't really the whole brag kind. I mean, Alvin a little bit, and with reason, considering the women he had in his life. Um, Xander it's kind of that bro mentality. If he was out with a friend that he knew well, might be like, "Yep, you know, me and a vampire got freaky yesterday." Kind of a kind of a subtle hit jump, you know, but it's not really a brag. I don't have characters like, dude, you totally have to write this chapter that where me and Lavella and Gravtina and Sage all got together. It's not. Nah. If it happens, it happens. Do you think some of those series that are 20 plus books long is still coming out are a good thing? I get nervous about starting something that long. It shows no indication of stopping. It depends, Gia. Most of those series seem to not have an end point. Most of the series I've seen that way, though, are set in a specific genre. And what you see is the same storyline recycled with a slightly different coat of paint. There are some series that are that long that do have a definite endpoint. Dresden is a very long series, but Butcher has always said there's a set ending for that. So I'm fine with that, especially as you see slow progression. I dislike the way he tortures Harry in every book ever. But if the series is written with an endpoint in mind and it is closing on and is you can see it growing and closing to that ending, I'm fine with it. But if it's the author is continuing the series just because it makes them money and that's what they're going to do, and they're just rehashing things, no, I fucking hate that. Have you ever thought about doing little short stories about characters from your completed series? So, Zaro, that would take time away from writing the books that I currently write. So, it is unlikely to ever happen. Or I would have to basically spend my free time, the time I give up to Like when I wrote Heavenly Chaos because it clamored, the times that I would normally play a game, spend time with my girlfriend, those kinds of things. I would take away from that time to do that kind of thing. So it is less likely. So McKnight, the origin story behind Skippy is Alpha World. The characters, the fans hated the Skippy in Alpha World so much. I was told by dozens of people they would like to see him die repeatedly. That is why we have the Skippy trope. That is the one fan service I have given you guys. You said we want Skippy to die hundreds of times, and I went, okay. That is why you see a Skippy in series starting from Alpha World moving forward. You don't see a Skippy, anyone named Skippy, in Last Horizons for a reason. Let's see. Oh, hey, look, I've caught up to the end, guys. Congratulations. We're almost done. Bella, raid your bookshelf. Can I get them signed as the cops take me away? I mean, you wouldn't be able to keep them. They'd be taken as evidence and then returned to me. So, if you want signed books, buy books, meet me at a convention. I will sign them if you bring them to me. I don't mind that. I had a fan ask if they sent prepaid shipping box and shipped me them. Would I sign them and then basically put them in the prepaid box and ship them back out? And honestly, yeah, probably. But at that point, guys, you have to understand if something happens to them, not my fault. I mean, if that's really what you want, I don't mind. It would honestly be easier to just find me at a convention because I'm going to be in conventions on like either side of the country. If you're trying to do that from across the seas where you want me to send something back to you, that's going to be a problem because shipping is expensive. Okay. New rating system for DJs MCs, weekly, monthly, yearly, based on how if they have enough love interests to have one for each day of the week, month, or year. None of my main characters will ever have enough love interests to have one for a new one for every day of the year. I will not allow it. Even once a month is probably going to be the most you're going to see, and I know what those series are. And going forward, new series will not be that expansive. So we've seen the death of the Skippies. Okay. Guys, I have caught up to you. We have run through 2 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and end things here. So thank you for coming in. We killed 2 hours of everyone's lives by attending this live chat where I got to ramble at you. I appreciate it. I think you're all a little crazy, but then again, so am I. So hey, at least birds of a feather. The next live chat will be in January. I already set up the thing on Discord. January 15th. It is a Wednesday. It'll be 2 p.m. Pacific. So then extrapolate out to whatever your time zone is. I just want to thank you all for coming and once again spending time with me. And we'll see you next month. Stay safe out there because the world is stupid insane right now. Bye.